everyone, your lives are better now because I am here. Gambit, you're late. No, the briefing was scheduled for 10. Yeah, it's 11. Daylight savings. Excuse me? Daylight savings, it's the day of the year where you get to be late to things, and then you say daylight savings, and no one can be mad at you. It's November. I don't think it affects the month. No, I mean it's fall back. Sorry, because of a completely innocent and uncontestable misunderstanding, I missed the beginning of the meeting. Why are we falling back? Who's attacking? No, I'm talking about time. Time is attacking? No, it's moving backwards because of some young rogue mutant. Because it's November! Is this one of those things where you just feel the need to get the information out? Because I'm happy to just nod along. Oh, goddammit, Gambit, it's currently 11 o'clock. I might blow up most of my watches, Scott, but I promise I can read them. The meeting was scheduled at 10. Again, I understand, but if today was yesterday, then now would be 10. Today was yesterday, then now would be noon. Pardon? All you're admitting is that you're willfully 2 hours late to this meeting. Well, thank God for daylight savings, or I would have missed it entirely. This comment's really funny to me for a couple of reasons. Because, yes, first of all, power scaling is weird. Because a lot of people don't actually read comics, so they get their information from secondhand sources, which is not inherently bad. I myself am a secondary source. But it means that their understanding of these characters comes from, disparate fun facts. And every now and then, one of those facts will spread like wildfire, usually having to do with some powerful feat, and the whole fandom will learn it and think it's more all-encompassing of the character than it actually is. Because, of course, if all you know about somebody is that they're actually very powerful, you'd assume their whole thing is being really powerful. A perfect example is the reveal that Spider-Man was holding back. Now that's what everyone wants to talk about all the time. There's also the big reveal that Iceman's an Omega level mutant after decades of saying he was actually one of the weakest mutants. No one remembers any of that shit though, or how it was tied to some inner turmoil that he had to resolve before accessing his full potential. Nope, it's just Iceman's actually super powerful, and also him being gay came out of nowhere. And of course, the one I deal with the most, Gambit's lobotomy, which was introduced, reversed, and then completely nullified by burning all the extra power out of his system all in the same book. But people only know the first part, so they talk about it all the time. Now I say all that to show that I do agree with the sentiment here, but the example you use to show this discrepancy is cracking me up, because it's hard to fight 6 people. This isn't the Wrecking Crew or something, okay? He is fighting 6 high-level super beings at any given moment. You know what else we call guys who could do that? Avengers-level threats. There's a reason the adaptations have to give him multiversal support or break up the fights into smaller groups. It's hard to make one guy fighting 6 supervillains look reasonable. If anything, it supports the idea that Peter is more powerful than we actually think. Vulture? Sure, he's an old guy with wings, probably not much of a threat, but the rest of these dudes are not to be discounted. Even Kraven was able to cosplay Peter for a few weeks without anyone noticing, and depending on your definition, he was better at it than Peter was. And he didn't even need to steal Peter's body to do it like some other people. But besides him, we got 2 elemental forces, a mad scientist, and a guy who versus literally anyone else is a menace like no other. This man has ruined Daredevil and Wolverine's lives and killed Kingpin. The fact he needs 5 people to stand a chance against Spidey is a testament to Spidey. I mean, I can definitely try, but I don't think you're gonna like it very much. Let's talk about one of the stupidest things Marvel ever did. Now, the first thing you need to know is that in Marvel canon, there's anywhere between 0 and 3 Xorns at any given time. That makes sense? No? Good, stick around. Anyways, this is the first Xorn we meet. His name is Kuan Yin Xorn. He's a mutant whose power means his head is a star. Don't worry though, he's got the special helmet, so everything's fine. Also, for some reason, the star gives him healing powers, which is neat. Anyways, he's introduced in New X-Men, a soft relaunch of the title from the early 2000s by writer Grant Morrison. He's this cool monk healer who goes to work at the school and becomes friends with everyone. And it's also not real at all because it's just Magneto doing a bit of dress up. So here's the Zero Xorn example, okay? It was always Morrison's intention to reveal that Xorn was just Magneto. In fact, you can see the breadcrumbs throughout the entire story. Now, we gotta do a bit of a tangent. Because you see, one of the things this book is most interested in exploring is how historical figures often get watered down to easily trademarkable slogans. How their actual ideals and flaws as real people aren't necessarily reflected in how their message is touted in modern day. Morrison communicates by resurrecting a Magneto that is less like the very sympathetic Holocaust survivor, nuanced character we saw in the 80s, more the cartoonishly evil supervillain of the 60s. It's a fun way of saying he does a little bit of a G-side on New York. The optics are not excellent. Here's the thing, this book is genuinely really good, and the political commentary is fascinating. But this isn't an alternate universe or anything. This is 616, and Marvel would like to use these characters again. Which is where we get to the one Xorn option, because after Morrison leaves, Marvel decides that no, that wasn't Magneto pretending to be Xorn, it was Xorn pretending to be Magneto. Great, easy, done, right? No, because everyone liked this guy too. And Marvel would like to be able to use him without the whole horrible atrocities thing hanging around his neck. So they introduce a second Xorn. Everyone, this is Xorn. He's Kuan Yin's twin brother, and instead of a star, his head is a black hole. But don't worry though, he's still got the special helmet and also healing powers, and is, by almost any metric that matters, this character, but without having done anything evil at all. For what it's worth, they do establish that Kuan Yin was under the influence of an even worse supervillain named Sublime at the time, so that's helpful because he's the one who's actually still with the X-Men, hanging out with them in their current ongoing title, working alongside Magneto. Is that awkward? Probably. And by now, some of you are probably saying, hey, how did we ever get to 3 Xorns? I'll be honest, I was counting Magneto, which may not be fair. But also, in the Resurrection of Magneto series, we go into Magneto's brain and see a list of all the people he killed, some of which we know were a part of the whole New York thing, so good luck piecing that all together. So this is an old comment that I already responded to, but I wanted to make a video because today feels like a good day to address this. And not just because this is what the current Dazzler solo is kind of all about. X-Men work, in my opinion, because they are diverse. They're female characters, POC characters, queer characters, trans characters, disabled characters. Basically, any real-life minority group you can think of is represented in some capacity, which isn't always great representation, don't get me wrong, but it allows these stories to explore something that most stories of this kind choose to ignore, which is intersectionality. How is the experience of being a mutant different for people who look like Dazzler versus those who look like Storm? But even all of that aside, what this most shows me is we need to stop conflating idealism with realism. Because if America was fictional, we would never stop calling it unrealistic. It doesn't make sense that a country could elect a black man president twice and still be racist. It doesn't make sense that a country with so many popular female artists can still be sexist. It doesn't make sense that the same people who call half the country scum and the enemy within get so enraged when they themselves are called garbage. It doesn't make sense when the same people who are so worried about not knowing one candidate's exact plan are completely content learning the other candidate just has concepts of one. It doesn't make sense that a president who was impeached twice, convicted on 34 felony counts, and was called a pariah after inciting a riot to forcefully retain power not only comes back, not only wins, but does so by the widest margin yet. But at a certain point, I think we have to acknowledge that these discrepancies in the rational logic of fictional world are not plot holes. In fact, they're what makes them feel realistic. What's that? An excuse to talk about the morally superior X-Men? Don't mind if I do. That's right, there's not just one trans mutant, there's a whole team of them. And the 2 most relevant ones aren't even on it. Originally called Super Trans, they were actually a support group led by D-Man, of all people. Perhaps best known now for his recent Lego special. He's not trans, but he has been canonically gay for a bit now. And yes, of course, the team does actually include a shapeshifter. This is Soph, she, her, she goes by Face Shopper. Fitting name given that she seems to have to mentally get dressed as whoever she wants to turn into. Notably, can copy their powers, so that's something. Anyways, next up is ZZ, aka Harmonize, they, them. Their power is that when they sing, they can make others sing too. Reminder that canonically, the majority of mutants are non-combatants, people. Anyways, on the other end of the scale, meet Reed, aka Aphelion, he, him, whose power is having a pocket universe inside of his body, which he uses primarily to freeze things. There's also Rex, who goes by Good Arson, which is like arson but good. And perhaps the person with the worst power ever, Gabe, aka Bad Guy, whose mutant power is the ability to look at someone and make them want to kill him. Which sounds horrifying, but also seems to be primarily used for reverse psychology. His best friend is Pity Girl, who can mind control people, but only after making them sad. And yes, if you haven't figured it out by now, these are all comedy characters from a very tongue-in-cheek comedy book. But it's a fun one, and it gave us unbeatable moments, like when they beat up a Sentinel, so they just kind of proclaimed they were the X-Men, prompting perhaps the best panel of all time. Now, all that said, the most relevant transmutant is definitely Escapade. She also goes by the name Sheila Saxton, and her power is being able to literally swap places with people. She's officially an ex-member of that support group, but since has moved on to be on the New Mutants, and most recently a part of the Avengers Academy. Personally, I'm a big fan of this character, but she still pales in comparison. Her best buddy and my #1 dude, Morgan Red, whose power is being able to turn precisely 8 ounces of organic material into chocolate. Some say that's lame, I say it's radical. I see the vision, I see the potential. A little freaking turtle with wings as a pet? What more could you want? Dude, wake up, there's an alien invasion. Oh my god, I gotta call my kid. Your kid's not here? He's at school, but they always close early for extraterrestrial events. How is he at school and you're still asleep? They have buses, plus I think he can teleport. You think? Not super plugged into his life, okay? Hey, don't leave. They have fortified walls and plot armor. We're gonna be robbing a bank. I'm gonna call you back. No. Yes, think about it. All the superheroes are busy. All of them. Do you know how many superpowered people we have in the city? Yeah, but there's aliens. The street levels are not just gonna take a day off. This isn't Fortnite, dude. Punisher's not taking on Thanos with an Uzi. We just got a bunch of super motivated people whose inferiority complexes are going through the roof. Okay, but what are the odds that they're patrolling the bank? Hi, motherfucker! You think you're the first person who had this idea? I think it requires a certain je ne sais quoi to formulate, yes? The heroes can protect us from the aliens, and then the aliens can protect us from the heroes, and then in the middle of the chaos, we get all the free money. It's a bit more complicated than that. Listen, man, you don't want to be around any heroes right now at all. Yes, I do. They're gonna save me from the aliens. Maybe, or maybe they'll fail to save you, learn a humbling lesson about remembering the little people, and be motivated towards their final victory. Nah, that already happened. Jesus, you were here? No, I was at school. I can teleport. Damn, I'm gonna guess right one day. Anyway, school blew up. God, that's dark. I saw some guy in a cape sorting through all the debris before I left. You went to school with a superhero's kit? We should have pulled you out years ago. Hello, mon ami. Oh, hello there. Do I know you? Are you kidding? It's me, Remy LeBeau. Of course. Are you like a fan? Are you serious? I'm Gambit, the X-Man. I run a poker game with Ben. Oh, officially I'm not supposed to know about that. Ben, one of your petty criminals is here. Petty? I'm the king of thieves. We really should not be seen having this conversation. Ben! Okay, whatever. I need the little green boy. Leech? Yes, him. He's a mutant. We'll take him to the school, teach him about his powers, his culture. He's perfectly fine with us. Okay, but what about just for one night then? We're gonna teach him about his powers and his culture in one night? Fantastic. I feel like we've passed that charade now. Please keep up. What do you actually want him for? Well, you see, I'm dating this wonderful woman named Rogue. Oh my god. It's not what you think. I think you want to take advantage of his power to drain other people's powers by being near them to sleep with your girlfriend. Okay, so is this exactly what you think? This is beyond inappropriate. Do you work at Xavier's? I'm the sex ed teacher. What goes on at this school? Listen, it's no big deal, okay? I have done the research. His range is like 10 feet or something, so we just set him up in the hallway with some headphones and a Game Boy. He never has to know. Do you understand who this child is? What he's been through? His people were massacred. I know that. I'm the one who helped set it up. Ben, make better friends! Listen, who am I to tell you what the MCU is going to do? When it comes to this joke in the Black Widow movie where Red Guardian is convinced that he actually fought Captain America, it seems to me to be a pretty overt reference to William Burnside, or at least the real-life discrepancies that led to his creation. If you don't know, this is William Burnside, also known as Captain America, also known as Steve Rogers because he legally changed his name. And he's a character that was born almost entirely out of retcon. Because you see, the real Steve Rogers Captain America actually predates Marvel as a brand, originally being published in the 40s by its predecessor, Timely Comics. And in the 60s, when Marvel decided they wanted to bring back some of the Timely characters, they came up with that whole Frozen in Ice bit. The only problem was that Captain America had still been appearing in the 50s, fighting in a not-so-cold war against the communists. Meaning in universe, there's suddenly a lot of characters with the same issue that Red Guardian has, where they knew Captain America. They have memories of fighting this man, but then he just pops out of the ice and has no idea who the hell they actually were. And again, in the comics, they resolved this by inventing William Burnside, a man who was such a big fan of Steve Rogers that he had to do a bit of geopolitical cosplay. Do I think they'll do that in the movies? No, probably not. Honestly, I like if they never resolve this issue. I feel like we've gotten far away from the actual point of Easter eggs as fun little treats for fans to find, and if they don't, then it's fine. Now it's always just foreshadowing or blatant setup. But if they do choose to pick up on this thread, merging it with the story of Isaiah they've already set up would make sense. So, maybe. Hello, I'm Father Wagner. Are you kidding? No, that's just my name. There's no way you're a priest. Okay, because I'm a fuzzy blue elf man. I can't be a priest. No, it's just, you're Nightcrawler, right? Yeah, so? So, I know you, or I know of you. I read the tabloid. I'm not sure what you're getting. Don't you fuck a lot of people? Oh, that's kind of an accusatory way to say that. I'm sorry, it's just, I have had consensual relations with many individuals, yes? Yeah, that's not okay. Oh, because I'm a fuzzy blue elf man, I can't get laid. Oh, because you're a Catholic priest, right? Yes! Then you can't have sex! Says who? The vow of celibacy! Is that a thing? How could you not know? I'm supposed to pay attention to every little vow I say? I don't know what you want me to tell you, dude. It's like a sacred law or something. Well, that really blows. Alright, now it is time to craft the sacred laws of our new kingdom. Ooh, have sex on there. No, Kurt! Because I'm a fuzzy blue elf man, I can't make law. We're limiting this to the essential, like a good sex life. Does anyone else have an idea? Okay, fine. What about, I don't know, make more children? Excuse me? Mutants. Make more mutants. We're running low. Do you just want an excuse to have unprotected sex? No, I'm not a monster. I'll use protection. Then how are you gonna make... Just put it down, Baldy. Guys, not everyone wants to wear a collar during sex. I'm sorry to be blunt, but I get comments like this all the time. And guys, just think about it for a moment. Putting aside all of the in-universe reasoning, ignoring that these collars are not just symbols of their oppression, but the literal tool used to imprison, abuse, and kill mutants that might not necessarily put these frontline combatants in the mood. Putting aside that even brief exposure canonically causes huge migraines, and that Rogue specifically has trauma based on her powers being taken away as a vehicle to assault. Ignoring all of that, there is a specific stigma and specific symbolism to having to literally collar yourself to be intimate. Some people find attractive and others don't. And I'm sorry, characters not being as kinky as you is not a plot hole. You know what the real rub of this is? They use the damn things. Even though Rogue doesn't love it, she wears one for their wedding night so they can have a wedding night. And you know what happens? Well, first she has to unpack some of that trauma I was talking about. But also, she has Beast make her one that looks like a bracelet because at the end of the day, she just doesn't want to wear a collar. Listen, I understand that's exactly what you're proposing, so this is not directed towards you. You're just one of the few people I'm not already arguing about this in the comments with, because I'm crashing out over the stupidest thing. Like, I don't see what's not clicking. Obviously, Gambit's the one who wears the— Stop, criminal! Spider-Man is here. Oh god, who are you? I just introduced myself. Now, there's like 600 Spider-Men, and you're not one of them. I am, in fact, as you can tell from the design on my— Okay, I didn't want to take this to a place of tale, but you have one, so either you're new or I gotta get my attorneys involved. You don't own the concept of a tail. I do in this sphere, so come on, what is it? Are you Doc Ock again? Last time you added appendages, you were Doc Ock. I am not Doc Ock. Well, you can't be Craven. You would have tried to kill me already. Craven was Spider-Man? Yeah, you ever hear those horror stories about the black suit? You mean Venom? No, the black suit he had— You're wearing one! Right, sorry. Anyways, those stories are from when Craven got a hold of one and kind of just went Punisher for 2 weeks without anyone knowing. Okay, well, I'm not Craven either then. Great, and just to be clear, you're not Venom. No! Then how did you shrink wrap your tail in there? Can we stop focusing on the tail? If I just tell you who I am, can we move on? I mean, yeah, that's what I was asking for. Okay, I'm Nightcrawler. Am I supposed to know who that is? Seriously? I let you prattle on about Craven the Hunter, didn't try to big time you. Right, sorry. You're with those, alphabet people, yeah? X-Men, but like, yeah, also yes. Gambit, I sent 3 kids to your office earlier to talk to you. Did you ever actually do that? Wayward teens, right? Got caught stealing test answers or something? We spoke, I think they got the message. Really? Cause they literally just did it again. Did what? Stole something. And got caught? They must not have been paying attention. Sorry? I'm just saying, test answers, crown jewels, it doesn't matter what the mark is. My technique works. You taught them how to be better thieves? Certainly tried. Why would you do that? You sent them to me. I didn't tell you to hone their craft. I thought it was implied. Why would you think that? Because you sent them to me. So you could tell them how to not end up like you. How is being awesome a deterrent? God, you were abducted into the Thieves Guild. Adopted? They could exploit you for some weird prophecy and cement an alliance through forced marriage. I wouldn't say forced, more heavily encouraged. When that failed, they exiled you and left you destitute. Thieves don't need money because everything is free. And now you're a grown adult so afraid of any vulnerability that you can't form real connections because even the people you're closest to can't fully trust you. Jesus, Kitty. Sorry, that was over the line. I have friendships. There's Storm and Bishop. Traveled back in time to kill you. Got over it. Plus, Rogue and I may be on the outs, but she still trusts me. Right, I'm sorry. Actually, these kids were found in Rogue's room. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you? No, of course not. Though, if they happen to have a tape on them, maybe don't watch it in public. Everybody meet Quill, Flood, and View, the 3 kids that Gambit hires to steal a sex tape of him and another woman out of Rogue's bedroom. Oh yeah, and welcome back to What the Fuck Comics, the show where we talk about all plot lines and characters and ask the ever important question, what the fuck? Today's episode is even more journalistic integrity because the early 2000s were rough for my boy. Anyway, I know since X-Men 97 came out, there's been a rise in the fandom thinking of Rogue as some serial cheater and Gambit as the noble knight who never sleep around on her. But unfortunately, neither of those things are true. The whole whole Magneto thing happens in the comics before Gambit's even introduced. And as far as Gambit goes, let's talk about Madame Camille. One of the premier psychics down in New Orleans. Turns out her knack for being able to tell the future comes from the fact that she has most of the city on surveillance. Oh, by the way, this is her daughter, Ginny, who has a bit of a crush on Gambit, just schoolyard stuff, definitely not going to be a problem later. Anyways, Gambit goes to them to learn more about a woman named Lily Penrose, who has hired him to steal from her uncle. Camille points out that he could have just asked all these questions while getting hired, but then he wouldn't have gotten to flirt with Lily. As she says, I swear if that mutie cutie of yours with the streak in her hair had even half an inkling of what a dog you were behind her back. Which, you know, is not a great accusation, but it's just been some harmless flirting up to this point. But maybe she actually is a good fortune teller because Lily pays Gambit a visit a little later, and well, not so harmless anymore. Now, just because I know people are going to point it out, yes, there is one panel where he says, I said no, woman. So if you want to read something more nefarious and traumatic in this, I guess you could. After all, it is revealed that Lily's in league with the villain, like wants to eat his heart or something. I do think that would be reading against the text, as Gambit literally walks out saying, I may be homo superior, but I'm only human, with a big smile on his face. Anyways, remember how I said Camille has the entire city bugged? This is a realization that hits Gambit, as Ginny seems to be pretty upset over some videotape. Don't worry though, she quite randomly gets over it. So much so that she even invites him out for a coffee date. But wait, he says this is not a date because he's not exactly on the market right now. To which she assumes he's talking about yet a third woman we've not had time to get into. Anyways, as the conversation turns back to Lily Penrose, Gambit says, truth is the relationship I'm in ain't always perfect, and Lily caught me when my adrenaline was up and my guard was down. I shouldn't have done that. And I think you're a good friend, but that don't change the fact that there's only one girl for me. So again, I think the only correct read of this is he cheated on Rogue. Realization that Ginny seems to reach as well, and decides to go ahead and send Rogue the tape of him and Lily. Now, Camille does eventually get her to confess to Gambit that she did this, so he rushes back to Westchester, which is how we get back to these three snotballs. What are they looking at? Storm's bare chest. As I mentioned in the skit, these three kids were caught stealing test answers, so they were sent to Gambit for mentorship. Sort of a learn from my mistakes kind of thing. Though as one of them points out, I don't think mentoring was supposed to include breaking into a locked X-Mansion room to keep his girlfriend from seeing a dirty movie he started. But Gambit is taking a different approach, and originally I guess he's taking the kids along as like a learning experience. But when he gets called away for a mission by Cyclops, they end up carrying out the heist themselves. Which is spun as what I think is supposed to be a cute moment. Gambit gives them the answers for their next 3 finals as a reward. As he says, I got no problem with you swindling your way through classes as long as you learn something along the way. But like, I don't know, you're faculty and you got 3 kids to break into another faculty member's room to steal porn of you? Across the board, don't think this is that sweet of a moment. Anyway, Marvel, what the Hi, this is your friendly reminder, Storm's not real. I'm sorry, I know that sounds patronizing, but also what kind of response is this? This whole flame war in my comments has been cracking me up because it's a perfect example of why it's sometimes so hard to talk about comics on the internet. Because anytime somebody dares to mention the behind the scenes aspect, the fact that these are stories written by real people making real choices for real reasons, there's always someone taking the most granular, in-universe view possible and posing it like it's a contradiction when really you're just arguing past each other. For context, this is from a video where I was talking about a story where Gambit tries to steal back a naughty video of himself and another woman before Rogue can see it, which features, quite randomly and unnecessarily, a single panel of topless Storm. Does it serve the narrative? No. Is it there for any reason beside fan service? No. But when someone in my comments pointed out it was a bit gross and repeatedly and explicitly outlined they were talking about the people who wrote the comic, I met with responses like this. What's the argument here? It's not gross that it's included. It's gross that she was doing it in the first place. She's not real. This isn't some brave writer daring to expose a historical figure in his biopic. It is a writer and an artist that wanted an excuse to show Storm topless. That cannot be argued against. That's why it's included in the book. Now listen, you have every right to interpret Storm as in the wrong in the context of the narrative. I think it's a little weird to be this upset about it, but you know what? Everyone's entitled to their interpretation. But it simply is not a part of the conversation that you entered into. Yo, never mind. We are so back. We are so back. Listen, Marvel, here's what you do, okay? You take whatever convoluted multiversal nonsense that is the current Fantastic Four movie you're already in production for. You throw it out the window, okay? You call up Danny DeVito, you say, hey, have you seen the Penguin show? Did that piss you off? Are you mad there's another iconic version of your guy? Well, guess what? We got a character that no one will ever make an 8-episode prestige drama about. Put put him in green tights, you get him surrounded by a bunch of CGI little monsters, preferably all played by Charlie Day. I understand that might be wishful thinking. And you let him vibe for like 90 minutes. He interacts with Pedro Pascal and the rest for a little bit, and then you all go home and collect your Oscars. But how does that fit into the multiverse saga? How does anything these days? We know you're just gonna introduce Doom randomly at the end. You can still do that. I'll be much more open to seeing RDJ take an Iron Man mask and plunge it into gray paint before slapping it on his face if it's preceded by 90 minutes of mulling around. You've hit gold. Don't waste it on a montage. You see what works and you stretch it forever. That's basically the MCU motto anyway, so just make it work this time. What made you think that Jean Grey would be back in time for New Year's? I don't know. Thought maybe she'd want to be home for the holidays? She's dead! Oh, you're right, and that's definitely the end of that conversation. Who even takes bets like that? Oh, there's an app. There's an app for betting on what superhero is going to die? No, don't be morbid. There's an app for betting on what superhero is going to come back to life. That's equally ridiculous. Not really. Superheroes, football, this is all kind of the same umbrella. How much of our money did you lose? I plead the fifth. Doesn't work in just a normal conversation. Okay, well then, probably all. All of our money? I mean, technically just most, but I need what's left over to get everything back. You think the solution is to bet more? Hear me out? No. Hear me out? I don't think that's Spider-Man. He's not even dead. You don't know that, okay? Because the suit's out there, sure, but he's acting weird. He's not cracking as many jokes as usual. I'm pretty sure I watched him strangle a guy. Our great solution to get our money back is to bet that a guy who's not currently dead actually is currently dead, but soon won't be. I just admitted to seeing a really dramatic event. If maybe you want to check in. How are you feeling? Not great. I lost all of our money. All right, we need to talk about that god-awful How to Train Your Dragon live-action casting. Because listen, I am all for artistic license when making an adaptation, but you cannot disrespect the entire nature of the character. Why the hell is the guy playing Hiccup so hot? Not in a weird way, he's like 17, but you know what I mean. No, but Hiccup is hot, not in the first one. Not conventionally, at least. Look at this boy. Look at him. There's a process, ladies and gentlemen. You have to sit with this guy. You gotta wait with him throughout the movies in order to see this transformation, okay? You can't start with this out the gate. I'm supposed to believe this man's a dork no one likes? He looks like a proportional Jacob Elordi. And yeah, I heard his voice. He's doing a good enough impression. Good for him. But Hiccup is essential late bloomer representation, and I will not be robbed of this. Where do we go from here? What is the glow up? He's glown! The most vital aspect of this film, the pure appearance of the main character, has been ruined beyond repair. No, but seriously, if you're mad about the other thing, you sound equally, if not much more stupid to me. Where people draw the line on what is and is not out of bounds for fantasy is hilarious to me. In a very disturbing and deeply alarming kind of way. And right in here is going to be your office. Are you kidding? I've not made a single joke since taking over this school. That is a closet. It's an office. It is a closet, Catherine. I should know. Why? Do you spend a lot of time in one? Seriously? That's the first joke since the new chop. God, it feels good to laugh again. Okay, you had your fun. Haha, now show me to my real office. Of course, sorry, it's right through here. Seriously, this is where I store my trench coats. Now you can continue to do that while calling it your office. And where do I do my work? Probably a crime scene or, I don't know, a classroom, Remy? It's a school. Built inside a mansion with 1,000 rooms. There's 23, and we're already splitting them between dorms and classes. You don't get to have a trench coat closet and an office. Do you have an office? I don't have a trench coat closet. Oh, but your office is the size of at least 10 of them. I'm the Headmaster Gambit. It does have certain perks. Does Colossus have an office? I don't see how that's relevant. What about Rogue or Wolverine? No, actually, he's not around enough for one. And honestly, one more Alaskan brooding trip and he's sleeping on the lawn. At which point his bedroom could become my office? I don't know, Remy. You got any plans to randomly abscond down to New Orleans in the near future? I have certain kingly duties. Then maybe they can build you an office down there. That's ridiculous. They don't even like me down there. Then we all have something in common. Okay, this is a take I share on the internet every now and then and it always gets a ton of pushback. I recently watched The Penguin and it really cemented to me that this whole Matt Reeves universe is stylistically exactly what I want from a Batman interpretation. We're talking stylized, noir, grit, real-ish story about a man rising through the crime ring. Now the only way to make it better? Give him an umbrella gun. And I know that's where I lose people. Oh, save that kind of stuff for Brave and the Bold. Let the Reeves universe be realistic. Listen, objectively, you are right. That is the intent of these projects. But I feel like a lot of people think it's one or the other, right? Like you can either be real silly or real grounded. The moment you start introducing more fantastical elements like the umbrella gun or, God forbid, superpower, or just full-on 60s Adam Westing it, and I don't agree. Listen, I know comics are a different medium where it's easier to get away with this kind of stuff, but I do find it interesting that the book most of these realistic interpretations are drawing from, the one that details the Maroni-Falcone War, introduces Sophia and Alberto, has Solomon Grundy in its second issue. A zombie, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't detract from the tone everyone likes to guzzle into their modern project. And listen, I got a 30-minute rant about this elsewhere. It doesn't change the fact that Batman thrives when you juxtapose this sort of tone with elements of dark or gothic fantasy. Which, to be clear, less Peter Pan, more Pan's Labyrinth, okay? Magical realism is a thing. This isn't quite it, but it could get there. We've never been so close. Now you just gotta take one more leap of faith. Wicked was the Deadpool and Wolverine of movie musicals, except I liked it more. I feel like studios are finally starting to learn that catering to general audiences may not necessarily be the move. Like between these two films, Dune, X-Men 97, a bunch of other projects, it looks like you can be just as much, if not more successful, just full sending something as you are denigrating or diluting it enough to appeal to those who probably weren't gonna like it in the first place. Like if you're not a fan of movie musicals, if you know that about yourself, I cannot in good faith recommend you go watch Wicked. It is the most movie musical to ever movie musical. In fact, it's probably precisely what you incorrectly think all the other movie musicals are. It's loud, it's flamboyant, the plot is genuinely communicated through song. There's not a single ounce of, don't worry guys, we're not just a musical, okay, we're a cool musical. I think it's better for it. I related it to Deadpool and Wolverine specifically because this feels like a celebration of the play. Like from the moment the music fades in over these beautiful landscapes of Oz, it feels like they're just giving the play the level of epic grandeur that it deserves. And it doesn't stop there. Like Deadpool and Wolverine, there are a lot of jokes and moments of build-up that I'm sure probably work alone, but work better if you have some prior knowledge. So all that said, if you are on the fence about movie musicals, like you're not averse, just one's never really clicked for whatever reason, I cannot recommend watching this enough. Because there's something so engaging about watching something that is so passionate and in love with its own world. I think this could help people understand why others like this medium so much. This play's been a huge part of my life since childhood, and my only complaint now is that I have to wait longer to see the rest of it adapted. Okay, Mysterio just teleported? Yeah, no, he can't do that. Just look around for a guy. Sorry, I'll look around for a guy crawling on the floor. Hey, while we have a moment, can I ask you about this legal problem? No, but you're my lawyer. I'm someone you know who is a lawyer. Oh, come on, you're like every superhero's lawyer. What about She-Hulk? You're like every broke superhero's lawyer. Fine, just what is it? Okay, so the other day I saw this group of thugs robbing an armored truck in broad daylight in the middle of downtown. Right, surprisingly common occurrence for our city. I put a stop to it, did what I do best, and now they're suing me. They don't know who you are. They know Spider-Man. They're suing Spider-Man. On what grounds? They said the webs are biohazard? Don't look like that. Wait, are the webs a biohazard? No, they're a fluid that comes from your body. They don't come from my body. I got a little gizmo. Your webs are fake? You quiet down. There's a fishbowl man waiting to make a big reveal around here. No, if you want to fight this in court, you're gonna have to tell people they're artificial. Not if I have a really good lawyer. Okay, fine, I'll do it, but I am gonna actually charge you this time. How about I don't tell anyone that a guy disappearing in a puff of smoke managed to confuse you of all people, and we call it even. Mysterio is a very tricky villain. He's not, bud, and he really shouldn't be for you. Listen, I have a bit too big of a platform these days to be blowing up random people's spots. So I'm not going to do this as a stitch or response or anything, but I've been seeing this sentiment going around a lot recently in regards to the new Wicked film. But I think it shows that including Dulcie Bear actively harmed the narrative. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Dulcie Bear is a film original. She does not appear in the musical or the books, or if she does, not as a bear. But she's basically the nanny that raises Elphaba after her dad's all like, ugh, green. Yes, for some reason I could not find a still of this lady. I'm sorry. But my problem with including her is that it effectively boils down Elphaba's stance on the animals to, I have talking animal friends. Basically, I've been lucky enough to be close with the talking animal, so I know they deserve rights, but maybe Glinda hasn't, so it's okay that she's a fascist until she learns more. Which, while maybe a more palatable and even relatable experience of allyship for certain communities, is not why Elphaba actually feels kinship towards the animals or their plight. That is because she is also othered. There are many scenes in Shiz that serve to directly tie how Elphaba is treated to how Dr. Dillamond is treated. That's what that whole scene about how to pronounce Galinda's name was. Elphaba ends it by saying something like, some of us are just actually different. Also, when the wizard is talking about why they're attacking the animals in the first place, he says it's because the way to stay in power is to give the people a common enemy. But we know, by the time of Wizard of Oz, that enemy is not talking animals, it's Elphaba. Elphaba is sympathetic to the plight of the animals because she relates to what they're going through. Not because one happened to be nice to her as a child. Again, please, no one try to find this comment or this person or anything. I couldn't even find a picture of this bear, alright? In order to make this video seem like I'm addressing an actual problem and not just something I made up, I needed to use at least one example of what I've seen. Crucially, they're not wrong. This is a real legit takeaway you can have from this film because of Dulcie's inclusion. That's just what I think is bad. Hello, is this where the trial of Cyclops is being held? I mean, trial? Yeah, is where we're gonna call him guilty, sure. I wouldn't be so positive about that. I'm gonna be representing my father. Okay, so does he go on like after the X-Man? No, it is the X-Man, it's Cyclops. Oh, you're confused. Yeah, you meant to say you're his father. No, my grandfather is a space pirate. I'm sure he is, old-timer, but no one was talking about your grandfather. You just were! I was talking about Cyclops' father, man. That would be my grandfather because I am his son. Okay, sure. And for you, how old is Cyclops right now? He just turned 60. Is that actually true? Wow, he looks great. This is what I've been saying. Still not old enough to be the Crypt Keeper's dad, though. There's no need to be rude, okay? I brought identification. I'm sorry, is this your birth certificate? Yes, and you can see Scott Summers listed there under father. Right, it also says that you were born 2 years ago? I mean, if we want to get into technicalities. Cool. I'm done trying to understand this, so I'm just gonna say that we do not let 2-year-olds practice law, regardless of whatever weird Dorian Gray situation you got going on. It's ridiculous. I am an accredited lawyer. When did you take the bar? In the future. That's called a goal, bud. Okay, you got this. Merry Christmas, Scott. Tomorrow. What? It's Thanksgiving, so Christmas season starts tomorrow. Sorry, I didn't realize you were a fascist. Excuse me? If anyone else wanted to feel some joy or whimsy today, just know that Scott Summers has some real strict rules about that. Since when do you even care? I'm working on self-improvement, and my therapist said it's important to find excuses to feel joy. You can feel joy on Thanksgiving. Wrong. You feel thankful on Thanksgiving, which I did when I celebrated a month ago. I knew that's what this was really about. You're in America now. And I hail from Canada, the great white north, home of the mythical Santa Claus. He's from the North Pole. You hate whimsy. You have his phone number. Newsflash, Summers. There's magic in this world if you know where to look. Know where to look? Hey, can you guys keep it down? I'm trying to cook for between 5 to 52 people right now. We both personally know so many sorcerers. Great comeback, Summers. Really ate my ass up. Oh, it's one of those. Okay, I'm gonna close this door. What whimsy, Logan? You know when my family used to celebrate? Oh, please. We all know you didn't have a family. I did for a bit in Alaska, and my parents made up this story about this horrible creature lured to houses with early Christmas decorations. Wait, where in Alaska? A primal, rageful monster so full of sadness they couldn't stand the sight of other people's... God damn it, it was you, wasn't it? No, but hypothetically, if that beast therapist told him to find excuses to feel joy. Yeah, whatever. Merry Christmas. Gambit, how are we looking on that turkey? You actually wanted to eat the turkey? You guys ever heard of the Kuleshov effect? Basically, it's this idea that, at least in film, the sequence a shot is placed in is more important than the actual shot itself. So like, you can use the exact same reaction image of this random dude, and depending on what comes next, people will assume he's feeling different emotions. Even though, again, it's the same shot, because the context informs our understanding. Now, bear with me, because I think this is part of the reason that Wicked was able to slap so much. I went back and watched the original, and something that struck me was just how vague it was. Not to say it's bad, obviously it's a masterpiece, but because it's so focused on Dorothy, there's a lot left unsaid when it comes to other people's motivation. My favorite being that when they get the ruby slippers, Glinda is straight up just like, I don't know what those are, but if she wants them, they're probably bad news, so don't give it to her. When you have something like Wicked that is solely about establishing these people's motivations, it's able to slide in surprisingly well. Like the Kuleshov effect, it does not change what came before, it just provides context that informs how we read it. This is already pretty evident, because all over my For You page are videos showing scenes from the original being like, oh, doesn't Glinda look annoyed? Isn't the scene between her and the witch like weirdly charged? Like, no, that was obviously not the intent in 1939, but it's easy to read it like that now. Wicked, even though it is so revisionist, feels so... It's honestly very similar to what I think The Penguin was doing, despite the fact that these two projects are like polar opposites in every other way. If you want to know more about that, I may or may not have a little video essay comparing the two. Hello, Ms. Lane, I presume? Little busy at the moment. Of course, wouldn't want to interrupt your surprise article about corruption in the mayor's office. Is there corruption in the mayor's office? No.
Damn, then this article I'm writing is gonna be really awkward.
Okay, you know that stories like these don't just hurt the mayor, they hurt those close to him, and there's nothing worse than when someone close to us gets hurt.
Wait, I wasn't paying attention. Is this a threat?
No, you're perfectly safe, but I did pass this young Mr. Kent earlier.
Oh my god, you're saying this is an opportunity for me to save Clark?
I'm just saying it's terrible when loved ones pay the price for ambition.
Yeah, it is, because he is just some poor, innocent man thrust into harm's way for the sole crime of loving someone trying to do good.
I get it, you have a Pulitzer. And now it's up to me to be the selfless hero saving the world one average man at a time. So you're not publishing the story then? Hey Lois, everything okay in here?
Everything's great, Clark.
Sure, cause I thought maybe... Peachy Keen, lover, please leave the room. Wow, you handled that beautifully.
I take this very seriously.
Have no fear, Superman is here.
Oh, why?
That happens sometimes if you leave the window open. It's a weekly surprise check-in. Miss Lane, can I talk to you for a second?
Well, if it's the weekly surprise check-in, of course. Are you seriously considering pulling this story?
Can you pretend to get shot? I will call Bruce and figure out a solution.
Okay, well, until then, I'm gonna milk this a bit more. I will do anything to